This week we are heading from directly in the classroom to more large-scale assessments and looking at the broader world of assessment. This week we are going to talk about achievement tests. Achievement tests are probably the most common of assessments that we use, and they are used to determine what a student knows or how much they've learned. In some literature, you may also hear them called as multi-level survey batteries. This is when the test is looking at a lot of different achievement levels and tests a wide variety of topics. There are a variety of purposes for achievement tests. Most particularly has a student learned a particular set of knowledge or skills that is important for them to know for their class or for their grade level, etc. A student also may need to achieve a certain level of learning, a criterion, a benchmark. So by the end of second grade, they should have this set of knowledge and skills. So achievement tests help us measure, did students reach that benchmark? The results on achievement tests can be used to group students. They can be diagnostic and then help us to determine if enhancements, enrichments, interventions need to be put into place. And most importantly, an achievement test should help inform instruction. Every time you give a test or a unit test, or if you do something like an Iowa or a WKC or a Smarter Balanced assessment, those are achievement tests. Those are looking at, does the student know a certain body of knowledge and skills within reading, within math, science, it's social studies, or language usage. There are a variety of types of achievement tests. There are teacher-made ones. They tend to vary in reliability, validity, and norming. You're not going to test the validity or norm your Chapter 2 math test. It's just not practical. You tend to focus on a smaller range of skills because they're associated with smaller packages of learning. The standardized achievement tests have a high level of reliability, validity, and they are normed. They are both expensive and expansive. To standardize an achievement test, such as a WKCE or an ACT, takes thousands and thousands of students taking them, and the consistency, which is related to the reliability, and they also must be termed valid by a variety of means also. To do all of those checks is very, very expensive. Achievement tests can either be group administered or individually administered. The example I'm going to use is the access test, which is the annual assessment that is given to English language learners to determine if they have improved their English language proficiency. And it is made up of 4 key parts: listening, reading, writing, and speaking. And the listening, reading, and writing is administered in a group. The speaking is done one-on-one. And access for kindergartners is one-on-one. So, can you give me other examples of each type of achievement test? If any of you are kindergarten teachers, you just gave one for the first time this year, PALS, the Phonological Awareness Literacy Screening, which has a combination of administrative modes. Achievement tests can either be criterion referenced or norm referenced. Remember that a norm reference test compares all test takers along the continuum. Remember that bell-shaped curve. The criterion reference test measures for a level of performance. Sometimes they're called content reference test. So based on a criterion, whether it's knowledge, speed, or accuracy, a WKCE is a certain level of knowledge, indicates you're proficient or advanced. If you're taking a typing test, the number of words per minute that are typed accurately can be used as a criterion reference test. When talking about achievement tests, you may also hear the term item response theory or IRT. This means that the score is derived from a pattern of responses. In WKCE, we look at the strands. So in math, you may have strands of algebra and geometry and numbers and operations. On the MAP test, the measure of academic progress, the pattern of responses are broken into what they call goals that are similar to the strands. So in the Common Core State Standard reading assessment, the goals are literature, instructional reading, and foundational skills. If you go to your Salkin book on page 210 or in page 213, there's some specific examples of item response theory that you can review. When constructing an achievement test, we can look to the examples that you just looked at on page 210 and 213, and these are examples of a table of specifications. This is often done with a large-scale assessment that divides the test by content or topics, and then also divides it by level of complexity. And you may say that's fine for a standardized test, but what about my classroom? And I would suggest going back to those best practices that we discussed, and going further back to talk about validity. These are all constructs and ideas that can influence how you construct a classroom test, and to make certain that you are creating a test that measures the content, skills, the goals, the strands that you need to. So while you will not go to the extreme that a standardized test goes to, these are still good skills and knowledge, number one, to understand standardized tests, but number two, to reflect upon as you build your own classroom assessments.